Welcome back for part 3 of PrinnyCast as we get into our major topic this week, which is actually related to our special guest, game reviewers and journalists. Now,
Hello.
First of all, what got you started in journalism?
Journalism is a big word for me. I still studying at high school in France. I am in a literary way of study, and I have the project to go forward with the journalism. And I try actually to gather my two hobbies, the writing and the video games, of course. And that's why I try to stay at the heart of actuality, at new news, to stay informed like you. And I'm also I'm writing on a famous site, famous French site called NintendoMaster.com. And this is my actual activity. Then I'm also implicated in the activity of a big event, a big convention called the Toulouse Game Show. This is a gathering which takes place in Toulouse, a big town of France. And each year we host some famous guests. In December we hosted Mr. Tsuda Goichi, the creator of Lollipop Chainsaw, Killer 7, I think, but also a great legend of the video game culture, a game designer called Yoshitaka Amano, which is the main designer of Final Fantasy series. Furthermore, we hosted Mr. Christopher Judge, who plays in Stargate's TV shows. He was still. So this TGS, this Toulouse Game Show, gather a lot of fans around, not around the world, but in France. And there is conferences where these great personality of the video games are expressing their conception of video game. And this is very interesting. And so this is, if you want to come a day, you can. It takes place at the end of the year, December approximately. But there is a smaller version of the convention during the spring. It was the last weekend. It was the TGS Ohanami in Japanese, which means the season of flowers, of the spring. And it's a more reduced version of the convention, which hosts a lot of people. In fact, there is 2 or 3 great convention. The main convention is the Japan Expo, which this is the biggest convention of the country. And after that, there is the TGS, and there is smaller version of this kind of events, but mainly TGS and Japan Expo. And for example, last year it was the visits of Mr. Satoru Iwata, which very emphasized the aspect very important of the convention, Japan Expo.
So I know it's off the topic a little bit, but what would be your favorite genre or genre of video games?
Genre. Okay. Genre. Yeah, I have lots of loved categories of video games, but mainly I still have a great passion for MMORPG. And
you're one of those.
Yeah. I spent around 5 or 6 years on World of Warcraft, and I try all the other MMORPG which tries to have the same image of World of Warcraft, which stay for me the best MMORPG because of the complexity of the background and also the complete aspect of the game. But I also play Rift as a MMORPG, and also Terra, and also Guild Wars 2, of course.
That's a big one too.
Yeah. Personally, it's a good game. It's a great game because of the good graphism, of course, with a very original aspect. But personally, deeply, I think that it will not be as powerful as World of Warcraft. It's my opinion.
You're not the other one. Yeah. I'm waiting for Mike to say it.
Not much can topple World of Warcraft.
And I'm not really a fan of first-person FPS. It's not my cup of tea, you know.
Mm-hmm. I'm more casual when at best. I play them every now and then, but
no, often I'm playing Counter-Strike with my friend sometime, but it's not the game that I will spend all my time really deeply to, because I think it's my opinion also, but in between Call of Duty, for example, and Battlefield 3, there, of course, there is some different aspects, but it's still 2 FPS. It will not change. Whereas Rayman Origins, for example, this is the game that I have in front of my nose. This is a beautiful game because there is too many artistic aspects, the spirit, the humoristic spirits of the game, etc., etc. I don't find this same attraction on FPS. This is my opinion. I don't want it to be hit by somebody.
No.
You're fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinions.
Yes.
We always talk about what game styles that we prefer over others, and it's just our opinions. I'm really big on fighting games, but anymore I'm horrible at playing any of them.
About fighting games, it was in 2011, and I have the extreme chance to meet Katsuhiro Harada, the game.
There's a character.
Game creator of Tekken and Soul Calibur. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's a great guy. During the TGS also, and I think for the small story, I heard that the day after I leave the event, he took 2 men against him on Tekken and make 2 perfect games.
Wow.
Yes, they were always in the air with a juggle, you know.
Yep.
And yes, but Tekken is one of the series that I really enjoyed, and I have Tekken Tag Tournament 1, I have Tekken 4, 5, and 6, and I'm looking for buying the recent Tekken Tag Tournament 2.
Which is the only Tekken I do not have yet.
Ah, okay.
So, you can tell I'm a bit of a fan too, but then again, I can say that about most any fighting game there is. Okay. Even the ones I don't really like, I'll still get every one of them I can. I'm strange.
And yes, also Soul Calibur, which is great games too, great fighting games. But in my opinion, Soul Calibur 5, I think it has no success, isn't it?
It did okay at first, but I think it lost momentum really quickly.
Yeah, because. And I understand the lack of success of the game because there is no charismatic characters, you know. In Soul Calibur, they have the great idea to put, for example, Darth Vader and Master Yoda, and yes, there is this spirit, and but in the latest game there is no particular attractive characters.
Well, they took out so many of the old ones, which is okay for the new ones that they put in. For example, they took out Taki to put in Natsu. They play almost identical, so that's kind of okay as long as there's a playing style there. But there were several characters that did not get represented at all, and I think that turned off a lot of people where that's the main character that they played all the time. And if it's not in the game, that's kind of a turnoff.
Yes, this is a risk attitude that Arada had. That's like all these the project. They try to challenge themselves, and sometimes it don't work. About that, recently I wrote an article of Toru Haga, who is the development director of Pandora's Tower on Wii U. As a development director, he had to always challenge his team and his society to not realize always the same thing, you know, to change, to that there is some evolution, you know.
That's the same old problem that a lot of games, and not just games, really anything in the world has, that people want a change, but they want to keep what they're familiar with. So these game developers have to find that perfect line in between those. And I think that's why reboots are so popular.
Okay,
so
I agree.
Can have the new and keep the old at the same time.
This is a very complicated process, yes. I enjoy also the beat 'em all styles of video game. My favorite series in this category is Devil May Cry, which stays one of the best action video game.
A lot of people would agree with you.
Yeah, but you know, I love this kind of story with, it's not all white or all black. There is nuances. This is very interesting to play this game because Devil May Cry was one of my first games, you know. I think it make me really have an open mind. There is some emancipation, you know.
Mm-hmm. Devil May Cry changed a lot of how games are made as far as the action genre, because games like God of War and Dante's Inferno and even Castlevania, all of these came from that over-the-top action style that Devil May Cry had, plus all of the puzzles and the story.
Yes.
So have you played the reboot of Devil May Cry yet?
Devil May Cry DMC?
Yeah.
No, not yet. But you know, the fact that Dante have changed of hair, it's not my. I don't care about this, because if, as you told before, if the video game keeps the spirits of the series, which make the unique aspect of the game, it will make me enjoy. But if there is a radical change, I will not agree.
Well, we'll just move on to topic then. There's been a situation that's really come to light in recent years that it's no big secret that a lot of journalists can get kickbacks and goodies and stuff to ensure good reviews on games. Swag has varied from like t-shirts to weird promotional trinkets. Sometimes it's vacation trips to game-related locales or fancy tech gear like a new phone or a sound system or something. So this type of stuff does actually happen, and it happens a lot. So enter Dorito-Gate. See, this is where it really started beginning, and it begins with Jeff Keighley, one of the most recognized faces from the failed network G4 TV. Keighley has made something of a name for himself, and not always in the good ways over the last couple of years. He's had public battles with several different video game reviewers, and one in particular, Angry Joe, is fairly well known among the folks in the know. But the more famous event that he's had out of everything, and it's become an internet meme, is when he sat down for some interviews surrounded by a giant Halo 4 Mountain Dew stand and bags of Doritos and one of the most blatant displays of commercialism ever. And some of his comments seem to be making sarcasm about everything, but it was really transparent about what was being said and done there, and he's been made fun for it ever since. But while that one's almost a laughable comedic version of this type of stuff, in 2012, the Game Media Awards show, which I believe is in England, had journalists to make these tweets in a contest to win a PS3 at the event. And it was kind of a promotional thing, but when a journalist promotes somebody else's product, that's not really journalism anymore. But there was an article in the Eurogamer written about the fiasco, and there was a legal threat by one of the journalists, Lauren Wainwright, and her editors that wanted the tweeting quote that they used in it be taken out. And Eurogamer buckled, and its writer, Robert Florence, was forced to quit afterwards. And all of this was only exacerbated when it was discovered that Wainwright listed Square Enix as one of her former employees, whose very games she was often reviewing with very high praise, especially the amount of Tomb Raider love she was showing long before the Tomb Raider reboot's launch. So that was one of those really eye-openers that a lot of people in the industry are kind of self-indulgent, maybe a little crooked. And GameSpot critic Jeff Gertzman, he got fired after giving a bad review of an Eidos game. This was before the Square Enix bought him out, if I remember right. And Eidos also being a heavy advertiser on GameSpot at the time. Then owners of GameSpot claimed Eidos or any other game company had anything to do with any employee ever being removed or pressured. But the evidence is kind of the opposite. So there's some great articles out there. I'll probably mention them at the end of the show. But there's a lot of these guys that will openly admit some of the stuff that they get sent. And where do you cross the line of giving an honest review or turning away potential profits for your company and risking getting fired? I mean, I can't hate the journalists because they are put in an awkward situation, but at the same time, you have to have a moral standing somewhere. Otherwise, you're lying to people about the games that you're talking about.
I think if you're going to write a review or give any kind of criticism for something, it has to be honest. Because if it's not honest, all it is an advertisement. And at that point, it's not journalism anymore.
If it's not honest, it's not journalism.
Yep.
The objectivity of the criticism of video game in journalism is very important point, because in France we have a big site called jeuxvideo.com, which have been during a lot of years a very objective site. But actually and recently we understand that it's not the same way that they used to deal with the reception of video games. I think one of the events which are included in the story of this site is the sale of the site by Ubisoft. It means that this site was owned by Ubisoft.